In Argentina, the government will implement a series of measures aimed at stabilizing currency exchange rates. In the United States, at least 4 people were killed and 2 police officers were wounded in a shooting in Farmington. And thousands of Palestinians marked May 15 as the 75th anniversary of the Nakba of 1948, where nearly 700,000 indigenous Palestinians were ethnically cleansed from their homes by Zionist militias. Hello, welcome to From the South. I am Heidy Maurell from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The government of Argentina decided to implement a series of measures aimed at stabilizing the different exchange rates present in the country's economy. The Ministry of Economy announced that it will increase the interest rate from 91% to 97% per year. Besides this measure, extra initiative will be taken to sustain the level of consumption and activity. The entity indicated that the intervention of the foreign exchange markets is complemented with a series of announcements aimed at slowing down the rise in prices, for which the central market will import fresh and non-perishable staple products with zero tariff. Moreover, the Minister Sergio Massa declared that they will accelerate negotiations with the International Monetary Fund and China to obtain the necessary dollars to curb speculation and calm the exchange market. In this context, Argentina's soaring inflation continues to take an important toll on the most vulnerable sectors of the society. Inflation in April continued to rise beyond the government's prediction as it reached 108.8% year-on-year, and prices increased 8.5% up from the previous month. This is almost 1 point higher than the last number reported in March. Due to the increasingly high inflation, the cost of family basket has doubled in the last year, meaning an Argentine family needs more money to cover its basic needs every month. According to the National Statistics Institute Index last report, 11.5 million Argentinians, that is 39.2% of the population, live below the poverty line, as they are unable to cover their basic needs. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador announced on Monday an 8.2% salary increase for teachers. At his morning briefing, the Mexican president took the opportunity to congratulate teachers on their day and said that no teachers will be earning less than $909 a month because the economy is growing and salaries must improve accordingly. The president said that the measure will require an additional $2,386 million to be allocated to strengthen public education in Mexico. He noted that to this date, more than 800,000 education employees have been hired for an indefinite contract. In the same morning conference, the Mexican president also refused on Monday to hand over the presidency of the Pacific Alliance, a group made up of Mexico, Peru, Colombia, and Chile, to the government of Peru, calling the president of the country, Dina Boluarte, a usurper.
I cannot give her anything because she's not legally and legitimately president of Peru for us. Not to them. We can give it to Chile or to Colombia and let them see what they can do. This lady, with all due respect, usurper, expelled our ambassador.
An Ecuadorian criminal court opened on Monday the trial hearing against a former police lieutenant, Germán Cáceres, and Lieutenant Alfonso Camacho, shared with the femicide of Maria Belén Bernal. The hearing began after 8:30 p.m. local time on Monday at the judicial complex of the north of Quito. The criminal court expects to evaluate in 3 days the evidence presented by lawyers for the defendants, in order to determine the guilt or innocence of the accused. If found guilty, the two defendants could face up to 34 years in prison, Cáceres as direct perpetrator and Camacho as perpetrator by omission. On Tuesday, Ecuadorian President Guillermo Lasso will appear before Parliament for the impeachment trial against him on alleged embezzlement charge. What scenarios are being considered and how could the elections held inside Parliament last weekend influence on his case? Our correspondent Elena Rodriguez has the details.
Prior to the last phase of the political trial against President Guillermo gets underway in the coming hours, the forces representing coalition Social Democrats, indigenous movement, and dissidents of the democratic left have come together to designate the parliament members who will conduct the trial. They have obtained an ample vote that surpassed the qualified majority of 92 votes.
We need to pay attention to the interesting fact that Viviana Veloz, as first member of the Legislative Administration Council, got 94 votes, and also that Esteban Torres, as second vice president, got 100 votes. That's more than the 92 which would have been required in order to dismiss the President of the Republic. And what's more important, that these two are the ones to act as interpellants at the political trial to be held this Tuesday.
The ruling party has downplayed the importance of the votes obtained by these two parliamentary authorities, as they should not be an indicator of how the impeachment trial will unfold.
The vote of a legislator on an authority has nothing to do with a position regarding the impeachment. We have been clear about this already. The impeachment trial will serve no purpose. They don't have the votes, therefore we are standing our ground.
This analyst disagrees with that opinion. He says the vote to elect authorities in the Assembly showed that the legislative opposition can easily get the 92 votes needed to censure and remove the president from office.
Politically speaking, it is safe to say that the National Assembly today, with this overwhelming majority vote, beyond what was needed, has shown an important political strength in view of Tuesday's trial.
This is where Ecuadorian President Guillermo Lasso will be presenting exculpatory evidence on his impeachment trial. He will have 3 hours to do so, as set by the organic law of Parliament. On Tuesday, the plenary session will start with President Lasso's address, after which the interpellants will have 2 hours to present their arguments. At the end of this phase, President Lasso will leave the premises and the parliamentary debate will begin. The session is expected to last until Wednesday.
Once the debate is over, 72 hours later, as set by the Constitution, the fate of President Lasso will be decided.
The vote will take place 72 hours after the end of the debate, that is, next weekend.
Elena Rodriguez, teleSUR Ecuador.
And let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok account at teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In the United States, at least 4 people were killed and 2 police officers were wounded in Farmington, New Mexico, as a result of a shooting outside a church. The shooting was reported shortly after 11 a.m. local time in the area of Brookside Park. 2 officers were shot, but both were reported to be in a stable condition at San Juan Regional Medical Center. Authorities asked citizens to stay away from the street and the avenue where the events occurred. At the last 3 elementary schools and other establishments in the area of the shooting were closed on emergency. According to the police report, the suspect was 18 years old and had multiple weapons. He was confronted by police officers and was shot and killed. At least 6 people have been killed in a fire that erupted in the early hours on Tuesday in a 4-story hotel in Wellington, capital city of New Zealand. The firefighters say that 52 people have been rescued. some from the roof, but those and more were still unaccounted for. Smoke could be seen pouring from the hostel during the night, as 80 fires and 20 trucks battled the blaze. The commander of the Fire and Emergency District, Nakba, said that around 90 people were thought to have been in the building when the fire started. Prime Minister Chris Hipkins described the fire as an absolute tragedy. 6 people were taken to hospital, 1 in serious condition, Wellington Ambulance Service stated. An additional 15 people were treated on the scene. A police spokesperson said the final death toll was expected to be fewer than 10, but the number will be only known after these can access the building. In Spain's capital, Madrid, 1 person died and 24 others suffered smoke poisoning after a fire broke out in a hospital. The fire at the San Carlos Clinical Hospital started in the early hours of the morning local time. A 68-year-old patient died from the smoke and 17 were evacuated. 24 others required medical attention, according to the local media. The fire started in the room of the patient who died of intoxication, but investigations have only just begun. Turkey's presidential elections will be decided in a runoff elections, officials said on Monday, after incumbent Recep Tayyip Erdogan pulled ahead of his chief challenger, but fell short of an outright victory that could extend his rule into the third decade.
It has been observed that no candidate has been able to qualify for the election stipulated in Article 4 of Law Number 6271, and it has been decided by our board to hold the second round of elections on Sunday, May 28, 2023, according to the previously announced election calendar. It was seen that Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan's vote was 49.54%. Likewise, if we accept that all 35,874 foreign country votes were given to Mr. Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, it was seen that he received 44.85% of the votes.
The United Kingdom agreed to supply a new military package to Ukraine, including combat drone and air defense missiles. The announcement was made during a visit by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to the United Kingdom, as part of a tour of Western Europe to seek support from the US bloc's governments. According to the British government statement, it was agreed to send hundreds of air defense missiles and unmanned aerial systems, as well as long-range drone crew, with the capacity to attack from more than 2,000 kilometers. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak confirmed that the equipment will be delivered within a month in order to support the Ukrainian forces' offensive. Within the framework of his tour in Europe, the governments of France and Germany also expressed their support for Ukraine. The Russian government has urged the United States to complete the elimination of its remaining chemical arsenal as soon as possible. The head of the Russian delegation to a session of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, Kirill Lysogorsky, noted that 99% of the chemical weapons stockpiles declared by the convention signatory states had been verifiably destroyed, and that chemical plants for the manufacture of such agents has been dismantled. However, Washington continues to postpone the total destruction of its arsenals, even though U.S. President Joe Biden said his country was ready to complete such destruction. The United States is the only country among the signatories to the Convention on the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons that maintains an imperishable stockpile of toxic agents for military use. teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat. Dial 461 and enjoy your Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Thousands of Palestinians marked May 15 as the 75th anniversary of the Nakba of 1948, where nearly 700,000 indigenous Palestinians were ethnically cleansed from their homes in historic Palestine by Zionist militias. The Nakba, an Arabic term which stands for disaster or catastrophe, was the destruction of the Palestinian society and its homeland, as it led to the permanent displacement of a majority of the Palestinian Arabs. These events are seen as the beginning of an ongoing persecution of the Palestinians at the hand of the Israeli state, which continues until today. In Ramallah, in the center of the occupied West Bank, hundreds gathered and waved the flags of the Palestine, black banners, and keys of return to affirm the right of return of the Palestinian refugees and their offering to their pre-1948 homes. The participants attended and marched for Manara Square in downtown Ramallah, where a central rally was held commemorating the event. For the first time, the United Nations is officially commemorating the Palestinian Nakba, an action stemming from the UN's partition of British-ruled Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas demanded before the international organization that Israel stop its aggression against the Palestinian people.
Today we officially demand, in accordance with the international law and international resolutions, to make sure that Israel respects these resolutions or suspend Israel's membership in the United Nations. The international community should shoulder its responsibility. It should end the aggression. It should provide international protection to the Palestinian people. We are being subjected to violence. Every day we are complaining. Every day we are calling upon you. Every day, please protect us. Please protect us.
For her part, Undersecretary General for Political and Peace-Building Affairs, Rosemary Di Carlo, stressed that the UN is clear on its position that the Israeli occupation must come to an end.
The UN position is clear. The occupation must end. A two-state solution that will bring lasting peace and security for Israelis and Palestinians alike must be achieved in line with international law, UN resolutions, and previous agreements. We want to see an independent state of Palestine living side by side with Israel in peace and security, with Jerusalem as the capital of both states.
In Venezuela, civil organizations in support of the Palestinian cause joined the commemoration for the 75th anniversary of Nakba. In this sense, since Saturday, May 13, members of this organization have been carrying out activities to express their support and solidarity with the Palestinian people in their struggle against the Israeli occupation. On Monday, as part of these activities undertaken to accompany the Palestinian resistance, this organization held a forum in the facilities of the Bolivarian University of Venezuela, which addressed several issues and joint demands addressed to the international community to intervene so that Israel puts an end to these actions against the Palestinian people.
It is essential that the Venezuelan people and the brotherly peoples of Abya Yala and the rest of the world are aware that we have to support the Palestinian cause, just as we have to support the cause of the brotherly Sahrawi people of Yemen and all the peoples that are being subjected to the Zionist regime and its imperialist allies worldwide.
Also, the Vice President of the Palestinian Union in Latin America, Jihad Youssef, recalled that the Palestinian people continue to fight for the right of return of all refugees expelled in 1948 by the invasion of Zionist militias.
The Palestinian people have been fighting for decades for the right of return of all the refugees who were expelled from their lands in 1948, the creation of an independent Palestinian state, self-determination and independence, and Jerusalem as capital.
So far, 6 people have died and more than 700 have been injured by the strong winds of Cyclone Mosha during its pass over Myanmar's coastal regions. The storms got off on more than half of the nation's coastal towns, and at least 1,000 people were reported trapped by the waters, which reached 3.6 meters in the western areas. According to the Burmese Army's Information Office, the cyclone damaged 1,000 of houses, leaving more than 20,000 people sheltered in humanitarian centers. The military institution also reported a lack of supplies in homes in some of the humanitarian zones as a result of the increasing number of refugees arriving at these centers. And we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I am Heidy Maurell. Thank you for watching.